We're going to jump right into the first meal idea of today's video. This is 5 meals plus 4 snacks, so I'm including this as like 9 meals. A meal is breakfast, lunch, dinner, snack. So it could be called a serving too. I always get like that question, but here are the ingredients, just 3 simple ingredients. 5 pounds of Granny Smith apples, a container of the light and fit Greek yogurt in the individual sizes, so there's 4 of those, and then 5 packets, which is half of a box of the instant oatmeal packs. The first meal is going to be apples and oats. The second meal is going to be apples and Greek yogurt. So I did buy 5 pounds of apples. I don't know, it feels like fall here, so I just really wanted some baked apples, and I'm going to put 13 of them into my crock pot and make a crock pot apple. I'm not including any of the seasonings for cost that I'm using today because you can use whatever you have on hand, or you don't have to use any additional seasonings. It's completely up to you. This video, like all my others, is just to give you kind of some inspiration in your own kitchen to get some ideas going if you need some for meal prep or cheap, easy meals in your own home. I get asked a lot of times how I wash my fruits and vegetables. It really just kind of depends on the day, what I have on hand. But this day I did soak these apples in about 2 tablespoons of baking soda. I like that method for my fruits. Sometimes I do white vinegar as well, but I find that the baking soda method for fruit works best for me because it doesn't have that little tanginess of the vinegar that's kind of left over, even when really well rinsed. But I do the vinegar method on all my veggies. All right, so we're going to chop these, get them in the crock pot. I did add 3 tablespoons roughly of brown sugar, some pumpkin pie spice, and 2 cups of water, and I baked it on high for an hour and a half. You can bake it for longer if you want to. You can bake it for less, completely up to you, but I find that's the best method for me because I do like them to be slightly undercooked, so still kind of a little bit crunchy, but also very tender because I do reheat them. For the apple oats, I actually am going to add another element that is not included in my overall cost of today's video because I feel like not a lot of people use this ingredient, but I am going to use a vanilla protein powder to go ahead and add to my oats. I'm not going to show you, well, actually I'm going to show you both versions, but I'm not including that in my cost. So as you can see, I'm getting my crock pot ready, just apples and brown sugar. Oh, I did add a tablespoon of cornstarch. Forgot about that. I will type the recipe and leave it in the description box below. I feel like that's way more helpful, so you can just screenshot it, save it, and make it. Tag me over on Instagram if you decide to make it over at Flourishing Miranda. I'd love to see when you guys tag me in my recipes or inspiration. Like I said, popped it on high for an hour and a half. Total, I was in my kitchen for about an hour this day, which was really nice. That was start to finish with all the dishes, including cleanup. So I really like that. I can get some good nap time hustles in when my baby is napping. I can get a lot done. All right, here is what I am inspiring you to do, but also going to add the element of the protein as well. So I went ahead and added an instant pack of oatmeal, put it in the microwave for 1 minute. When it came out, I added a heaping scoop of the baked apples, stirred it around, bam. That is breakfast, super inexpensive. You have 5 of these for the week. I think that's really filling, super high in fiber. Great breakfast. But for me personally, I do want a little bit more protein. So I'm going to add a scoop of vanilla protein, which is going to cost about 50 cents more per meal. But I'll show you that, how I am prepping that, because I'm going to prep that ahead, just 2 days worth. This is a third. And then I'll finish off the rest of them on Wednesday this week. So I went ahead, popped the oats and water back into the microwave, added another scoop of the heaping apples. This is more like a caramel apple, I feel like. Just give you guys a heads up because of the brown sugar and the pumpkin pie spice. You could do cinnamon instead. You could do regular sugar. You could omit sugar altogether if you want to, if they're sweet enough for you. But the tartness of the Granny Smith and then like the sweetness of the brown sugar is my absolute favorite way to make these apples. All right, added a scoop of protein, mixed it in, and then I kind of make these like an overnight oat. I go ahead and store them in my refrigerator and then pop them out when I'm ready to eat them. They are so good. It's like the perfect fall edition. I feel like those apple, cinnamon, oats just add an additional element to the flavor already, and they're super inexpensive. Yes, they're not as cheap as like quick oats or steel cut oats or anything you buy like that in bulk or bigger containers, but for me, they're $2 for 10 packets. I feel like that's a great deal because they last us a week or 2 weeks, depending on how many we're eating every single day. All right, so for the snack version of this, I only have 4 of these, but that's okay. I can fill in the holes with other snacks around the house. I have an apple, and I have a yogurt, which adds 12 grams of protein, which I really like. It's a perfect little fall-ish kind of snack. You can add some of the baked apples if you want to this because there's plenty left over. I'm actually going to freeze whatever I don't use or go ahead and give them away because I don't want any of them to go bad. The baked apples I will use within a week. If I don't use them up, I will freeze them. So we'll just kind of see. But this is the little snack element that I added to today. So you have a breakfast, snack, a lunch, and a dinner for an entire week for just $30. Moving right along, we have the next meal, which is breakfast number 2, but I like to call this lunch. And this was a total cost of $7.28 for 6 meals. So it is an egg bake. I am using 18 eggs, which breaks it down to 3 eggs per serving. I know I could add more greens. I could add some kale, arugula, zucchini, broccoli, mushrooms. I could add tons of veggies to this, but honestly, I just wasn't feeling it. I've done an egg bake of some sort every single week for the past few months, and I just was like, you know what, I want something different. So I did a sweet potato and an onion. That's it. Added some seasoning. It was so good. So the first thing I did is peel my sweet potato, chop it up, get it into a pan. Peel my onion, chop it up, get it into a pan. I water sauteed these with just a little bit of salt. Once they were mostly tender, not all the way, but the onion was translucent and the sweet potato was mostly tender, I took them off the heat, added them to the eggs. For the eggs, I did add a Green Goddess seasoning that I had on hand from Trader Joe's. If you don't have that, you can literally add any kind of seasoning you want. But this was super basic, super simple. We also have toast and English muffins on hand, so I can throw that with this. But that's, again, not included in the cost. Again, these are just based on portions that I would eat if you're going to eat larger, different portions. Plus, meal prices and grocery prices are different all over the world. So this is just, again, to give you inspiration in your own kitchen. I'd love to hear from you down below. What is your kind of budget per week, and how many people are you feeding in your family? And if you don't have a budget, that's totally fine. We kind of like ebb and flow. Like sometimes I'll do budget meals because we're like, you know, kind of cracking down, and then other times we just kind of go with the flow. But we do have like a monthly range, and we stick to it really, really well. One thing I really like to do is break down my meals in a sense of like trying to hit them for about $1 or $2 per meal. And that's kind of how I prep for the entire week. And then we do go out a couple times a week to eat because we love date nights. We've been doing family date nights. Obviously, our daughter is way too young to go out to eat, but she doesn't eat. She just hangs out with us, and it's really fun because it's kind of like a date night with all 3 of us. All right, so when it comes to this egg bake, obviously, like I said, I just sauteing everything till it's mostly tender. Pop it in the oven, 350 degrees for about 40 minutes or until the eggs are completely cooked. The one thing with ovens is everybody's oven cooks differently, just like everybody's crock pot. Elements of whether you live in a dry or a humid climate, whether you live like, you know, elevation, etc. So just so you know, until it's completely cooked all the way through. So this turned out so beautifully. I feel like it just screams fall with the colors and the way the sweet potatoes kind of landed in the eggs. It's just so beautiful. Like I said, 1/6 of the pan of this is considered a serving for me. If my husband's going to eat it, he's going to pop at least 2 pieces on a plate, if not 3, because it's so delicious. But this was just a really great, easy lunch that we can have to make ahead. Rounding out the last of the 23 meals is this meal idea, which is a cost of $15 for 8 meals, which I think is really great. We're making like a really cool snack wrap here that is high in protein and lowish in carbs. Just something different. I wanted something different this week. And when I was like going over our menu for the week, I was like, you know what, this is a really easy dinner that we can also take along as a snack or an easy lunch. So instead of buying shredded lettuce, I went ahead and shredded my own, which I think is the biggest nuisance in the world because I feel like the lettuce gets all over, but it's worth it because of the cost. Like a shredded bag of lettuce is like a quarter of this and costs the same amount as this whole head of lettuce. So I know you can also put it in the food processor. Again, I feel like it's just so messy, but that's okay. I just went with it today. We chopped it up. Have some ranch. If you're wondering why I'm putting it into little containers, is because this meal is going to go on the go, and I'm trying to make my life as simple as possible. Convenience is key. I'm not even using all of this ranch. I'm using like 1/10 of it. And I didn't even know I liked ranch. Actually, I hated ranch until I got pregnant, and now I actually kind of like it. I did like dill ranch, like heavily seasoned dill ranch pre-pregnancy, but ranch was something that I really loved during pregnancy. Anyways, that was neither here nor there. We're getting the Boker burgers on the stovetop. I'm making them in the same exact pan as the onions and the sweet potatoes. So we got some added flavor, and I didn't wash the dish because I didn't have to. I'll wash it at the end. All 8 Boker burgers I just cook on medium heat for about 2 to 3 minutes per side, and then I'll just reheat them later in the week. And as far as the snack goes, we're using one of these low-carb wraps. The only reason I bought them is because they were on sale, and I actually really like them. And then we're going to put a Boker burger in it, and then we're going to put some lettuce, drizzle some ranch, put the rest of the ranch on the side to dip it in, and there we go. This is like 23 grams of protein with the wrap and the Boker burger, probably an extra gram of protein with the ranch. Perfect little meal. Thanks for watching today's video. Give it a thumbs up. See you later. Bye-bye.